I wish that heaven had visiting hours, so I could just show up and bring the news that she's getting older. And I wish that you'd met her. The things that I learned from her, I'll share them all with you. Can I just stay a while and we'll put all the world to rights? The little ones will grow and I'll still drink your favorite wine. And soon they're gonna close, but I'll see you again someday. So much has changed since you've been away. On the 2nd of April 2021, Mary Simpson passed away in her home surrounded by her family. Sadly, through Mary's life, she suffered a lot of loss, pain and illness. However, she also had a life filled with lots of love, fun and joy. There are a few threads that ran through Mary's life that made her who she was. These are things that never changed and were evident from childhood. Anybody who knew her would agree. These things made her. The first thread was she was fussy and immaculate. Mary's fussiness and her need to be immaculate could be seen in how well she presented herself, always looking perfect for her photographs and the hours she would spend practicing her Highland dancing. Mary's house was always tidy and everything had its place.
She took a pride in herself, it followed her through her life.
Yeah.
You know, it followed Mary through her life until just before the end. She took a pride. Oh, started parting about 3 weeks before her. But there again, that's the same thread. Everything had to be in that case perfectly.
It's
You know, and it's a thread that's going through her life, and it must be her nature.
Yeah, when we emptied out the wardrobe, well, like the big one in the room, all the shoes were in plastic bags, garment bags over like jerseys and everything, like good ones all had something over them, over their shoulders. It was all organised and, you know, when she was in the hospital, before she was really ill, but when she must have been in for probably the first time she was in actually. And I used to get friends saying, I took a list of stuff I had to bring through. Well, God, she was, the white jersey, and I'd gone with like 6 or 7 white jerseys, and I was like, right, I need to pick one, so I try and pick one up. Always pick the wrong one.
It was the same when we were going anywhere. But she was older, you know, she used to take ages and ages to get dressed.
When me and Mum were getting married, we called her the Big O as the organiser. She took to do with the whole wedding. I've never ever seen her so happy.
It was tiny.
Yeah.
She was sitting in a chair getting a photograph taken.
Yeah.
She was enough to let you.
No, when she had her stroke. Yeah, but she wasn't old when she had her stroke. And they took her in, and she was in the accident emergency. She was in the cubicle on the portable bed. And I grabbed some stuff and followed the ambulance through, and I just grabbed like that, because I knew I was no good to her, not in pajamas. And then, she was pulling at us, and I said, what have I forgotten? You know, I said, just one bag open, I remembered everything, and I even had a brush, I was quite proud of myself. And she's gone. And I went, and makeup, and she went. And I thought, I think she's always had right through, and it was what got her through a lot of things. She always had that wee stub in the street.
Yeah.
She was quite a funny mix actually, because she did have this thread right through her life where she was very like, you know, almost pernicious things. But at the same time, it didn't take much to make her happy.
Oh no.
Do you know what, it was a funny contradiction because you think that
because she was so fussy.
Yeah, that she would need a lot to make her happy, but she really didn't.
But and that is just something she's carried forward.
Yeah.
Same with the dancing.
Yeah, she just.
Yeah, she was always immaculate, and same with her dancing. And she used to go dancing. It had to be immaculate as well.
Yeah.
You know, her footwork and everything, she had to have it. I've seen Mary stand at the end of the stairs, with her hands on the end of the stairs, practicing steps.
Yeah.
You know, till she got them absolutely right. You know, she really, really did. She was fastidious, and yet, you know, about, I don't know, about 10, 15 years ago, we were somewhere, and there was kids dancing on a stage. I can't remember who it was. And there was some kids dancing on a stage. It was abroad. And I says, oh look, I says, does that take you back? She says, you know, Doc, she says, I hated it sometimes. And I says, really? She says, I did. She says, I used to hate. I would go to Highland Games in the summer every Saturday. And to dancing competitions in the winter. She says, every Saturday I wanted to go out with my pals.
Oh.
And you know, none of us ever realised that. She never said it, she just, and she said it was Mum that wanted me to do that. Like the girl. And I never realised that.
No.
You know, that, she just told me that when these kids were up there dancing. She said, I wonder how many of them want to be there.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite sad. She took a pride in herself, right?
I'll tell you something, Mary was fitter than me. That is rough. But another thing about Mary, she was fiercely loyal. Fiercely being the word. The woman stood at 4 foot, 11.5 inches tall, but she would fight for anyone. She defended her friends not just vocally, but also physically. One day, her best friend and neighbour's ex-boyfriend came to the house, threatening to put a brick through the window, and Mary grabs a bat. She dares him to do it. She's telling him he's getting battered if he even tries. She stood by her friends and family always.
Well, you know, I used to go up at the weekend.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And to start with, I couldn't get up there, and then Scott was having a Christmas fair. Now that was long after your dad died.
That's right.
And he said to her, would I go? And I said, yes, I'll go. Because I didn't think Mary would go. But Mary went.
Yeah.
Because it was her family and
That's right, so she went, that's right, I remember that. Because it was something like this, it was always at the beginning of December, and it was literally something, I think, for the 6th, it was just, yeah, it would have been the first Saturday I was there.
yeah, you know, and she went,
You know.
and she went. And what struck me was not an awful lot of people spoke to her, because people didn't know what to say.
No.
You know,
No.
she was good.
Yeah, she powered through that, I must admit.
After the loss of Mary's husband, her life could have gone either of two ways. Losing someone you love is hard. It's heartbreaking. And for her to have lost her husband and so young must have been unbearable. Another thing about Mary was that her family meant the world to her. She would never disappoint them. Powering through and showing up to her grandson's Christmas fete a week after losing her husband was just the beginning of all the time she would be there supporting her grandkids no matter what. When I was 12, I decided my granny was my guardian angel. My nana was in hospital. She was really ill. She was dying. And me and my mum left my dad to have a couple minutes alone with my nana, and we went down to the car. And I remember my mum took the dog for a wee walk around the car park, and I just sat in the car. And I loved my nana a lot, and I just started crying when my mum's phone rings, and it was my granny. She called at exactly the right moment, and I remember being so grateful to hear her voice. She's still my guardian angel now. On the day of her funeral, at the foot of her grave, there are a few white feathers. And now anytime I'm feeling low or lost or I'm celebrating something I wish I could share with her, I always see a white feather. And I know it's her saying she's still there. And I always feel safe. She always made me feel safe. My granny taught me life is fun, and you should always live it to the fullest. She would be so pleased when I was doing something fun and enjoying life, but after she passed, I struggled. I wasn't quite ready to see that life was still good and there's still fine moments. But I try now to grasp every opportunity I can, do all the fun things with my friends, because that's how she lived life, and it's a good way to live life, but sometimes it's hard. I struggle when something good happens, something I wish I could share with her, because she would have been so pleased for me. It's hard to think of all these fun things I've still to experience in life, knowing she won't get to see it. But she would never have wanted me to dwell on my sadness. That was one of the many things people loved about her.
Because she was my sister. That was the favourite thing. She was full of fun and she was just full of life. Always so pleased to see you.
I know, wasn't she?
You know, she just, come in, oh, it's great to see you, you know. And of course you felt good then.
You always knew that she was going to get whether or not.
She was kind. She was very kind. She was kind in the way that when I went cycling, she would look after you once for the weekend. And she let me and Mum go away, and she was kind to you. She was good to you once. She was good to me and Mum.
Yeah.
Birthdays and Christmases, and it was not just about money things. It was she was kind-hearted. She thought that because your mum was an only child, she spoiled you mums as well.
Yeah.
I think she was a very kind person.
When she would watch kids programs with me, like she'd always watch Hannah Montana, and she'd get really into it, and she'd always say that Jackson was not as young as he was supposed to be in the show, but she used to always decorate.
There's so many things we all miss about her, and these things feel like huge chunks have been taken out of our lives. But like I said, she wouldn't want us to dwell. She would have loved to have been here in the audience with you today. She loved hearing about herself. These are just a few of the things that we all miss about her.
You know, that's what I miss the most now. It's at 4 o'clock. That phone does not ring. You know, and it used to be between 4 and half past Tuesday. Now, I've got this crossword, and I don't know what 4 across is. I've got everything else, but it's amazing. I was sitting there on the phone, with my brains to a crossword, and it was fun. You know, it was funny. I laughed at it, but I really missed it, phoning it, you know, like that.
Just the fact that there's just that big hole there, and I suppose, you know, something is wrong, or that you do have a tendency to go and speak to your mum, and I could go in, I could actually probably say anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been taken away.
But you miss her because as small as she was, you always heard her or seen her. You always seen her somewhere in the street, or you always went up to the house, and she was always full of life.
Yeah.
She enjoyed coming down here, she enjoyed going out to brewery for a coffee with you or mum, or when we ever took her somewhere, she just loved it. She loved going away with the family.
Yeah.
And you missed that, and you missed her. Like, so Christmas Day was quite hard without her.
Yeah.
And New Year's Day was hard because the New Year before it was a lockdown, but she had a great time. She was the fun at our house that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you miss her because she was just that sort of full of life type of person.
Don't know, you could like run over a kitten and she'd be your biggest fan still, say the kitten was in the wrong. I think that's a good analogy to tell you that she was extremely supportive even to a fault.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I've never killed a kitten.
Granny, I want to thank you for so many things. Thank you for being my biggest fan. Thank you for being my best friend. Thank you for giving me a role model. Thank you for being you. I wish that heaven had visiting hours so I could ask them if I could take you home, but I know what they'd say, that it's for the best. So I will live life the way she taught me and make it on my own. And I will close the door, but I will open up my heart. And everyone I love will know exactly who you are. 'Cause this is not goodbye, it's just till we meet again. So much has changed since she's been away.
Big birthday this is.
It is.
Oh, I'll never be 80 again.
Oh no!
Thank goodness for that, my wee lamb.